second. Watch those guys over there. What are you doing, dude? Okay. Just all got anything that can help us? As soon as you get out that door, you almost got your ass blown away. You understand that?
Latasha Harlins was a 15-year-old African-American girl whose tragic death on March 16, 1991 became a significant event in the lead-up to the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Latasha Harlins was born on January 1, 1976 in East St. Louis, Illinois. Her family moved to South Central Los Angeles, California in 1981. She was the daughter of Crystal Harlins and Sylvester. Latasha had two younger siblings, a brother and a sister. Her dad worked at a steel foundry, while her mom worked as a waitress in the local tavern. Her dad was abusive towards Crystal. He used to attack her and beat her in front of the children, but their marriage lasted until 1983. Sadly, on November 27, 1985, Crystal was brutally shot outside a Los Angeles nightclub by Cora Mae Anderson, Sylvester's new girlfriend. Latasha was only 9 years old. This left Latasha and her siblings to be raised by their grandmother, Ruth Harlins. The family lived in South Central Los Angeles, an area that was struggling with poverty and crime. Latasha attended Westchester High School in Los Angeles. She was known to be a bright student with a promising future. She ran track, loved basketball, and had dreams of becoming a lawyer. Despite the challenges in her environment, she was determined to succeed and often helped take care of her younger siblings. On the morning of March 16, 1991, Latasha Harlins went to Empire Liquor Market in Delhi, a convenience store located at the intersection of West 91st Street and South Figueroa Street, to purchase a bottle of orange juice. The store was owned by a Korean-American couple, and Soon Ja-doo, the wife, was working at the counter that day, while her husband was outside resting in their family van. Shortly before 10 a.m., Latasha entered the store. She took a bottle of orange juice from the refrigerator and put it in her backpack. She then approached the counter with money in her hand to pay for the juice. Soon Ja-doo accused Latasha of trying to steal the juice. A verbal confrontation ensued, and Soon Ja-doo grabbed Latasha's sweater. Latasha retaliated by punching Doo twice and knocking her to the ground. Latasha then placed the bottle of juice on the counter and turned to leave. As Latasha turned to walk away, Soon Ja-doo retrieved a handgun from beneath the counter and shot Latasha in the back of the head. Latasha fell to the ground and died instantly. The entire incident was captured on the store's security camera. There were also two eyewitnesses in the store. Soon Ja-doo was arrested and charged with voluntary manslaughter. The case went to trial, and the security camera footage played a crucial role in the proceedings, as well as the eyewitness story. Doo testified on her behalf, saying that the shooting was in self-defense and that she believed that her life was in danger, but the proof showed something else. Also, it was found that the handgun used was altered and required less pressure on the trigger to fire than an ordinary handgun. On November 15, 1991, the jury found Soon Ja-doo guilty of voluntary manslaughter, a lesser charge than murder. Despite the jury's recommendation for the maximum sentence of 16 years in prison, Judge Joyce Carlin sentenced Doo to 5 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, and a $500 fine. No jail time. The judge said that Mrs. Doo's reaction was inappropriate, but that she thought that it was understandable because it was under extreme provocation and duress, and that it was very unlikely that she was going to commit a serious crime again. She also said that it was no time for revenge because no matter what the sentence was, Doo was going to be punished every day for the rest of her life. The state of California appealed, and in July 1992, her siblings received a $300,000 settlement from a civil lawsuit against Soon Ja-doo, which was paid by the store's insurance policy. This lenient sentence caused outrage in the African American community and was perceived as an example of systemic racial injustice. Latasha Harlins' death and the perceived injustice of the sentencing contributed to the simmering tensions between the African American community and Korean American store owners in South Central Los Angeles. These tensions would later erupt into violence during the 1992 Los Angeles riots following the acquittal of the police officers involved in the beating of Rodney King. Latasha Harlins is remembered as a symbol of the fight against racial injustice. Numerous articles, documentaries, and songs have been dedicated to her memory. One notable tribute is the song Keep Your Head Up by Tupac Shakur, as well as an Ice Cube song titled Black Korea. Both are references to Latasha and address issues of violence and injustice in the African American community. Rodney King became a central figure in one of the most significant and controversial cases of police brutality in U.S. history, leading to the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Here is a detailed account of his life, the infamous incident, and its aftermath. Rodney King was born on April 2, 1965, in Sacramento, California. He was the son of Ronald King and Odessa King. He had several siblings. His father died in 1984 at the age of 42, which impacted Rodney significantly. King grew up in a working-class African-American family. His childhood was marked by challenges, including witnessing domestic violence and experiencing economic hardships. King's family struggled financially, and he had a tumultuous upbringing. Before the infamous incident, Rodney had a criminal record that included convictions for robbery and assault. On the night of March 3, 1991, King was out with two friends. They spent the night drinking and watching basketball at a friend's house in Los Angeles. At around 12:30 a.m., officers Tim and Melanie Singer, who were husband and wife and members of the California Highway Patrol, noticed King's car speeding on the freeway. He was on parole after a robbery conviction and feared being arrested for DUI. When officers attempted to pull him over for speeding, King led them on a high-speed chase through Los Angeles. The pursuit reached 117 miles per hour. Rodney refused to pull over. Several police cars and a helicopter joined the pursuit, and after 8 miles, 5 officers were able to corner the car. The chase ended in Lakeview Terrace, a suburb of Los Angeles. The officers were Lawrence Powell, Timothy Wind, Theodore Briseno, Rolando Solano, and Stacy Kuhn. They were from the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD. Once King was stopped, he was ordered out of the car. And here is where things get tricky because you have the version of what happened mostly based on the police. It was said that the two friends got out of the car, but Rodney didn't. He stayed in the car, and it is said that when he came out, he giggled, patted the ground, and waved at the helicopter. It was said that he grabbed his butt, and this gave Officer Melanie Singer the impression that he was reaching for a weapon. So she got her pistol and pointed it at Rodney while ordering him to get on the ground. Sergeant Kuhn ordered the other 4 officers to handcuff him while using the technique of swarm, where multiple officers grabbed a suspect with empty hands to avoid resistance. Officers claimed that he resisted and that he was under the influence of PCP. This was false. The toxicology report was negative, and also he was unarmed, so there was no handgun in his pockets. But I do want to talk about the officers' claims because this was a big part of the court. Now this situation got the attention of a nearby resident, George Holliday, who captured the beating on his home video camera from his apartment balcony. The footage lasted about 9 minutes and showed the excessive force used by the officers. The video was widely broadcast on television, leading to public outrage and raising awareness of police brutality. The video showed a situation that escalated quickly. King was tasered, he fell to the ground, and then beaten with batons by the officers, who struck him over 50 times. He also suffered kicks and stomps. Even though the police argued the situation, what really happened was after he was tasered, Officer Powell struck him with his baton, and he repeated this several times, even though Rodney was on the floor and barely moving. Officer Kuhn tried to stop him from hitting him again, and Rodney got on his knees only to be hit again by Officer Powell and Wind. Then officers proceeded to hit Rodney using power strokes. Officer Kuhn, who at first tried to stop but now was in on it, ordered the rest to hit the joints, hit the wrists, hit the elbows, hit the knees, and hit the ankles. In some court documents that were based on the video, it was said that numerous attempts to hit Rodney were made, and 33 were successful plus 7 kicks. And this was only from 3 officers, because at the end of the attack, there were 8 officers involved. He was then cuffed, restrained from arms and legs, and then dragged on his abdomen to the side of the road. And this was 1991. Cell phones were not a thing, so the footage was not seen until 2 days after the attack. The man who recorded the incident couldn't find anyone who was interested in the video. He even called the LAPD, and they did not care until he went to KTLA. The video became a sensation in the media. Everyone was talking about it, and all of a sudden it was around the news, and it quickly went to the nation. After the attack and the interest in the media, It was revealed that King sustained severe injuries, including 11 skull fractures, broken teeth, kidney failure, fractured facial bones, broken right ankle, bruises, and permanent brain damage. He was hospitalized but survived the ordeal. They tested him and found alcohol and marijuana in his body, but in the end, nothing really happened with this other than arguments in court. Once you know what they did and you see the video, the last thing you should argue is that. Nurses reported that while they were at the hospital, some of the officers bragged about the amount of times that they hit Rodney. After the video was out, the LAPD responded by saying that it was believed that they used excessive force on Rodney. At a conference, they announced that 4 officers involved were going to be disciplined and 3 would face criminal charges. It was there said that some officers struck Rodney 53 to 56 times. In the end, the Los Angeles County District Attorney charged 4 officers, including a sergeant. Due to the media coverage and all the backlash, the trial was changed from Los Angeles County to a state court in Simi Valley, a predominantly white suburb. The jury became a controversial part because there were 10 white jurors, 1 biracial male, 1 Latino, and 1 Asian. The prosecutor, Terry L. White, was black, and all of this created more chaos because the lack of African Americans was noticeable, even though multiple attorneys said that race was not a problem, that the case had nothing to do with race. On April 29, 1992, after 7 days of deliberations, the officers were acquitted of all charges, and the jury could not reach a verdict on 1 charge against Powell. The verdict led to widespread anger and disbelief. I watched most of the videos available about this and read some things. The arguments were stupid, with police saying things like Rodney was moving so much that when the batons were going down, he would hit himself in the head. They thought he was armed and they got scared, even though there was never a visible weapon, and that Rodney was moving too much, so they just want him to stop moving. Safe to say that nobody was happy. The acquittals on April 29, 1992, sparked the Los Angeles riots, one of the most destructive civil disturbances in U.S. history. The riots lasted 6 days. African Americans were outraged, and the Latino community joined the protest. The U.S. Army, Marine Corps, and California National Guard had to intervene, and they were able to restore order 6 days after the chaos started. But this resulted in 63 deaths, 2,383 injuries, more than 7,000 fires, and damage to 3,100 businesses. Smaller riots occurred in Las Vegas, San Francisco, Seattle, Atlanta, New York City, and even Canada. It is said that the damages cost up to $1 billion, and some areas would not recover for 2 years. A day before the riots concluded, Rodney King made a public appeal for peace, famously asking, "Can we all get along?"
I just want to say, can we all get along? Can we get along?
The riots affected almost everyone, but some people targeted the Asian community, the markets. The goal was to damage them, and that included taking their lives. This was in retaliation to Latasha Harlins' outcome. The community was tired, and the so-called last straw was the outcome of Rodney King's trial. Following the riots, the officers faced a federal trial on civil rights charges. In 1993, Kuhn and Powell were found guilty and sentenced to 30 months in prison, while Briseno and Wynn were acquitted. The incident led to significant discussions and reforms regarding police practices, racial profiling, and the use of force. The LAPD underwent changes in its policies and training programs. To this day is often referenced in movies and other protests like George Floyd in 2020. Rodney King continued to struggle with personal issues, including substance abuse and legal troubles. Despite these challenges, he remained a symbol of the fight against police brutality. Unfortunately, he was found dead in his swimming pool on June 17, 2012, at the age of 47. The cause of death was accidental drowning, with contributing factors including alcohol and drug use.